Hi, this is me. My name is Khang. I have a confession to make, but not after several questions that I ask you right now. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through reels, short videos on different social media platforms, staring at somebody's perfectly curated life, and wondering, why don't you have it all together like they do? Yes? Maybe it's their career, their travels, or simply just because the way they smile that gets you. And you can see this happen anywhere, at any time in our life. At school, at work, and even in our downtime. For many of us, the answer seems simple: to escape. A weekend trip, a solo hike, or a ticket to Bali. Because we think if we can just get away, we can find peace and value. But what if I told you those things you're looking for aren't out there? They're not from the breathtaking view of the oceans during summer or the picturesque scenery of the village in winter. They're already inside of you. Imagine this. You're in a house during a storm and the roof is leaking. Instead of fixing it, you leave. You find another home with no leaks. For a while, it feels comfortable, feels great. But eventually, when you return, the leaks are still there, even worse than before. This is what happened when we chase healing through escapism. The trip, the journey, may give you a brief sense of relief. But the leak, the pressure, the stress, still inside. So how can we fix the roof? How can we find the peace inside each of us? What do you think of when you hear the word inner peace? Is it a monk meditating on the top of the mountain? Or a perfectly calm beach with no distractions? No, they're just beautiful like movie. But wake up, dreamers. We're living in a world where life feels like a never-ending race. We chase after deadlines, assignments, and social approval. And somewhere along that way, we lose touch with ourselves. Have you ever experienced a moment of complete stillness where the world noise fades and you can be deeply at ease with who you are and where you're at? That's a part of inner peace, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be unlocked. It's not about escaping from life problems or living in a state of constant happiness. It's achieving harmony within yourself and your ability to remain calm, grounded, centered, even life gets chaotic. Look at this, a lake. When the surface is still, it reflects everything around it perfectly. When there's wind or storm, the reflection becomes distorted, but everything underneath remains the same. So your inner peace is just like the stillness of that lake. It doesn't mean there won't be wind or storm. It means you have the tool to let the storm pass without losing your quality and clarity. Psychologists also describe inner peace as Psychologists also describe inner peace as emotional resilience, a state that can you acknowledge your feeling without being overwhelmed by them. It's a balance between accepting what is and focusing on what truly matters. So it's a journey. Sometimes it gets chaos, but I'm sure that it's more beautiful than any other destination that you can seek out there. So, should we compare ourselves to other people? And before we get on the journey to find our peace, we need to acknowledge, to address what are some obstacles that blocked our way to mental calmness. Let's talk about the pressure you face nowadays, especially peer pressure. Yes, as always. As human, we compare ourselves in many ways. Psychologists describe that social comparison. That's an instinct wired to us for survival. In the past, people compare themselves to gauge their place in the community. But in the age of social media, the community is now becoming the entire world. We're not only compare ourselves to our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, but also to influencers, celebrities, or even curated version of strangers that we even haven't met. And that creates a very dangerous illusion. An illusion that makes you feel like everybody is happier, more successful, and more fulfilled than we are. And this can lead to anxiety and depression. So should we compare ourselves to others? I would say it, yes, we should. But you can imagine comparison is like fire. It can light the way forward, or it can burn you into ash. So the question isn't whether comparison is bad. It's how we use it. Let me tell you a story. And that's also my confession. When I graduated university, I had an opportunity to work in one of the most prestigious hotels in Saigon. And that was a frequented place by celebrities. And one of them was my best friend. I called him Kai. Can you believe such a thing? I had just completed 4 years of university, while my friend was already a famous actor. Naturally, I was measuring myself against him. And every time I did, I felt like I was a failure. I was a loser. Then I started spending tons of money traveling around the country, spending meaningless moments, days and nights with celebrity who I befriended. I crave attention. Yes, I crave attention. But deep down, I had no idea what I was chasing after. Those efforts and monies left me nothing but a cold, hollow feeling. It was empty. Then there was a time Kai was struggling with his career. He was under pressure, and he told me something that shocked. He admired how calm I was when I was in university, how organized I worked, and he loved the way I worked with my colleagues. He wished he had those qualities. There was a big what in my head. The guy I was comparing myself to was comparing himself to me. And that moment flipped a switch in my mind. I realized that Comparing myself doesn't help me grow. It distracted me from my strengths and blinded me from my own path. Then instead of just comparing myself, I started to observing what make others successful. It wasn't magic. It was their discipline to stay consistent with their goals. I didn't need to be any of them, but I can learn from them habits and make those work for me. Give me another chance to grow up. So you see, inner peace also requires kindness, not only to others, but also to yourself. It's okay to fail. It's okay to struggle. Be as compassionate as you would to a friend. When I started practicing self-compassion, I realized that perfection was never the goal. Growth was. And then when I changed my mindset, the only person I need to compete with was me. And it's just like playing a video game. You're not worried about someone else's levels. You're just focusing on beating your high score. Can you be more focused today? Can you show more courage and kindness? When you compete with yourself, you're free. There's no losing, only learning. I admit that social media can be inspiring, but it can also trap you in a cycle of comparison. Set your limit. 1 hour or 2 hours a day, or maybe a full detox once a week. Use that time. Focus on yourself. When you stop chasing someone else's path, the progress feels lighter and your life feels a lot more meaningful. And here's the final piece. Don't let anyone define success for you. Success isn't about being the best in the room. It's about becoming the better version of you every day. Ask yourself, are you growing in a way that aligns with your values? So the next time when you feel overwhelmed, don't reach your phone. Don't book a flight. Everything you need is already within you. Just pause and breathe. Remember, there's always place for you to fit in. Don't rush. Give yourself time. Unlocking inner peace doesn't happen in just one grand gesture. It's a series of small, intentional steps. Steps that remind you, you are enough, just as you are. Thank you.